Okay, now we're going to come on to not a media panel, we're coming on to our next session, which is a panel session. And this panel is going to be looking at harnessing AI, social commerce, and AR for e-commerce success. It's a prestigious panel. I'm going to go through it quite quickly to bring them up onto our stage. So first, I'd like to introduce Ayman Rafa Hashim. She is a Leo. She's passionate about family, friends, food, staying healthy, and of course work. Her greatest fear is losing the respect and recognition that she's earned through the work that she's done. And her secret is that she's a huge fan of K-dramas, and she also loves doing embroidery, which is something she finds very therapeutic. Also with her, we have Aditi Gautam. She's the head of marketing and e-commerce at Zenesi. She is a Virgo. She's passionate about exploring new paces, whether it's hidden cafes in the city or a remote mountain trail. Her greatest fear is running out of coffee. Now, I couldn't agree more. That is my terrifying fear, as well as cigarettes. I would add coffee and cigarettes. And her secret is she's on a lifelong mission to perfect pancake flipping, which in her view should be an Olympic sport. Also with them is Syed Mohammed Aga. He is a Pisces. He's continuously growing and discovery. Growth and discovery is his passion. His fear is anything that would restrict his ability to stay active and explore the world. So he's a curious man, a man who looks for adventure. His secret is he's easily startled, so don't sneak up on him. And also we have Dr. Tamer El-Torni. What a great name, El-Torni. It sounds Italian, like pasta. It sounds delicious. And he I actually don't know what his star sign is. I don't have it, but I can tell you that he is the SVP Digital Adjacencies and Device. Okay, so you could see his star sign would be more interesting. So Linda will be hosting this session for us. Linda, if you come on stage and bring your guest to the stage as well. Thanks, Linda. God, I love kissing you.
BJ's gonna steal a kiss every time I come up on stage. That's gonna be quite a bit. So, thank you, BJ. BJ is the one who actually wanted us to introduce everyone this way, and I think it's so cool. It's such a good way of knowing our speakers. So, my panel, please join me on stage. How are you? Please. So flipping pancakes. That's interesting. Welcome to the MMA Next event. We're very happy to have you all with us today. So retail, reimagining it, using the new technologies, what's coming next, and how are different brands, different agencies, different companies dealing with what's coming next. The digital transformation of retail and e-commerce is accelerating. We all know that. It is changing, and we want to discuss today from different points of views what you guys think is happening. I think the biggest subject is hyper-personalization. So let me start with you, Aditi. From a marketer's lens, how has hyper-personalization improved campaign performance on consumer lifetime value in your recent initiatives?
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. See, I'll say it's hyper-personalization or AI or tech is fundamentally changing how we are interacting with the brands. I would also say the AI or the hyper-personalization. I'll go back to AI first. AI has actually helped us move from a mass marketing to an hyper-personalization scenario at ease. how at Zaichi, so Zaichi is a sportswear fashion brand, how at Zaichi we are doing hyper-personalization is via Klaviyo, basically via email marketing. What are we doing? We are right now currently focusing with 3 points. So what we do is we have started using it through like doing smart send so that we know which segment of people would open an email when. So ultimately, it will help us improve your open rate for the full campaign. It will help us with add to carts and overall improve your campaign levels. Secondly, if you move, we have also started in the campaign itself to use AI product recommendation. Again, which segment is interacting with which set of apparel, be it leggings, be it tops, or how are they doing, and then send them accordingly. So overall, it's like the intent, what user is looking at, how the behavior has been, will 100% give you uplift in the overall campaign.
Okay, thank you. When it becomes too much, how do you, as a marketer, stop that from taking over and becoming too exposing? How do we keep that from happening?
How we do is we set the frequency. So how we do is it like if I'll give you an example of an add to cart flow, what we do. So how we have this scenario is you will get a trigger after 24 hours. You'll get a second trigger after 48 hours. After 2 triggers, we'll stop the campaign because that is when we thought it's email fatigue for the audience.
Yeah.
So that's where we limit ourselves at the moment.
Setting the frequency.
Setting the frequency, basically, yeah.
Okay. All right, my next question is for Ayman. User-generated content. How are you activating user-generated content in paid and organic campaigns to boost trust and click-through rates?
So for UGC, it's a big thing that's upcoming for many brands. If you see it for Nike as well, previously where I worked, you are now able to give star ratings, you're able to give reviews for the particular products, which basically makes the product, if I'm a potential customer, it'll make me buy it if the review is authentic, if it's as per what is described, and if I feel that it's the correct fit for me. Also, from a business perspective, if you have these reviews for yourself, the business can also get reviews of the particular product. Maybe they can work on improving the product. Maybe the fit is not correct for N% of the customers. Maybe they can work on that, improve it, or add more functionality and promote it that way. So in that way, UGC helps e-commerce businesses in improving the conversion rate, in improving the product, and in turn, getting more customers. In terms of social commerce, if I look at it from that perspective, there's a huge influencer base out there. They can review the product and put a video right there and then, giving the review of the product to the customers, which will, of course, help me buy it or gain my trust again that, okay, I should have this product. You can also do linking strategies within the post, so you can put the link of the product. The customer can right away go and buy it for themselves. It reduces your conversion funnel as well. You go straight to checkout and you buy it for yourself. So it also helps in that aspect.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's great. How about AI in customer experience, Dr. Tamer? I mean, we know eAnd is doing it differently and they're doing it on multifaceted places. So how has it changed the commerce picture for you?
It's a very good question. Actually, over the past 5 to 10 years, we have been always speaking only about going digital and how we transform the digital space, and e-commerce was one of the most important areas. However, with things opening up and things changing drastically, I think that also the physical store have been even transforming into what we call the digital sort of experience. And the customers, there is a study by Accenture says that 90% of the customers are more likely to purchase when the experience is more customized and more personalized to their needs. And here comes the point of AI, which is the first part of the question, is that AI is no more a gimmick word or just a trend that is there, similar to lots of other trends in technology that we have been seeing coming and going quickly. AI is becoming an enabler, which would be there in almost, if you think, everything that we do and everything that's there. And accordingly, the customer would like to have sort of this seamless experience, whether it's online or in the stores. And it's very important that it becomes tailored within whatever journey he's witnessing, whether it's an online journey or a physical journey. AI would play a significant role in identifying what is the customer needs, what his pattern is and what he likes. And based on the amount of massive data that we have, everything is customized based on the customer need and the customer request. So from a marketer perspective, an omni-channel without an AI becomes a bit of a challenge and a struggle because it's not one size that fits all. So,
yeah. So, Sayed, what tools have you used and have been the most effective from AI point of view? Especially on attribution, clarity, and measurement.
We work in the food business, and we want to go to market with our products as soon as possible. But the type of products that we deal with a lot of them are imported. So there's a lot of regulation around them before we can actually sell them.
Maybe you can tell the audience where you actually work so that it's more relevant.
Sorry for assuming everyone knows where I work. So I work for Spinneys Dubai, which is a premium supermarket retailer here based in the UAE. We import a lot of our products, and we've also got our own private label products that we've emphasized and focus a lot on. So we've got a big new product development team as well. So because we're in the business of food, and we work really hard exclusively with farmers around the world so that we can reduce the time it takes to bring the food from farm to table as well as from our kitchen to your tables. But in order to create these products, the entire life cycle or the value chain before it can actually reach the shelf is complex, whether it's a supply chain or just creating the product across multiple systems. When we just take a very simple product, the number of fields that you have in that product can range between 150 and 300 that needs to be completed by different people across the value chain. So what we're right now doing from a product creation perspective is using not just automation in pre-populating fields, but using AI tools that we plug into. And I say plug into because we're not a technology company. We're in the food business. I manage technology, but we work with technology companies that can do this for us. So pull out all the attributes about a product, give marketing descriptions for a product based on guidelines that we give, because we've got a very big content team that does this for us. But like I said, we need to go to market fast. So that's where we've started integrating these AI tools into our product creation process. And on e-commerce specifically, again, we're partnering with technology companies that can do not just search based on most relevance, but also looking at natural language search, because everyone is now so used to ChatGPT and just asking questions in natural language. So how can we bring that into our roadmap? We're not yet there. We're still working on relevance based on best practice, but natural language search is something that we're also looking at so that people can find products based on attributes that they might enter about that product and not necessarily the name of the product in search.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting to see it from different businesses' point of views, especially for product development, even for a supermarket brand. Like how can we use that, and how can we, and we'll touch on that subject a little bit more. But how about like in the fashion industry? Like how are you using AR, not just in the digital format, as Dr. Tony said, Dr. Tamer, how are you using it in store for creating an experience? As we know, the gimmick is over. Everyone says AI 100 times a day. So how are we actually applying it?
So what we do at a business, we are a digital retail first. So we are doing virtual try-ons, because being in fashion, what my belief is this, your try-ons, virtual try-ons help reduce friction and help in building confidence. two major challenges we've seen in online fashion specifically is hesitation of how a product's gonna look on the person and size fit issues. So to eliminate and to give them an experience to bridge the gap between an offline store and an online, how it would happen, we have enabled virtual try-ons. So basically you can see how a fit would look on you, how it will fit your wardrobe. Basically, like your gap is reduced from a discovery to making a decision. So that has really impacted.
So how is it? Is it like a mirror and you stand in front? How does that work?
So it's both. So for us online, you can take a full image. It doesn't matter whether it's half, it's full, it's side pose. It's up to you, completely up to you, whatever pose you want to give. You'll have an image, you upload your image, they're gonna suggest you the outfits, and then we have generative AI who will talk with you. Okay. So if you have any issues, you want size recommendation, you can put on your detail, these are my, say, this is my waist, this is my arms, AI will suggest and will also interact with you. I don't want this, I want maybe a high impact thingy, they'll change. So that is how we are doing online. Even in the retails, people, for example, in Under Armour has it in store. You can go step onto the machine and they'll analyze your feet and they'll give you what size, what comfort of shoes you want. Yeah. So that is how we've been using AR, and we have seen improvement in return rates. The major benefit we have got via try-ons are reduction in our return rates. So we actually we enabled it on the pieces where we saw higher returns, and we've seen the decline in the return rates now.
Okay. So Ayman, tell us a bit about AI to reduce returns, like Aditi just said. What signals or shopper behaviors are you tracking to preempt returns? And how are marketers using that insight to refine messaging or targeting? Can you go back to those steps?
So how we are using AI at Hugo Boss, so if you look at the global website, they have Fit Finder. So basically what they've done is a customer can put in their size information, and they can also put in what size they particular wear for certain other brands. So for example, if I fit into a size 39 for a Nike, what size would I fit into for a Hugo Boss? You put in your body measurements, they will suggest the size for you, and they have linked it to multiple brands. So that in case helps a customer buy the correct size for themselves. Again, increasing customer satisfaction and reducing your return rates. So that is one way Hugo Boss does it. Also, what they do is they also believe in sustainability. They use renewable materials, which also makes the product last longer. They believe in producing the product digitally, so which reduces the sample production, the physical sample production of the particular product. They also use analytics to decide which product or how much product should be produced and what quantity should be sent to each store, and also what should be kept for e-com. So this way we provide the correct merchandise to the customer base, and we make sure that the availability is there.
Okay, that's taking it like preempting.
Correct.
To such a level that it creates different processes that will actually resonate.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. El-Tamer, take us a step further. What happened with a store that has no people in it?
That's it. This is a very good story, and it's one of the best implementation that has been done, and this is the first AI autonomous powered store in the world. Was launched by Ian, and I think I have a picture for that.
Yeah, can we launch the picture, please?
Yeah, it is a very interesting concept, and it was very challenging when the discussion was taking place. Should this store be manned or it should be totally autonomous? And the store, it has lots of the latest cutting-edge technologies, and it has been integrated and implemented by our technology team in a very seamless fashion. So it starts from autonomous gates that you can access with your eAnd application. So you just scan the eAnd application, and then you access the store. And inside the store, it has a robotic sort of AI sales assistant that if you have any questions, you can ask it and it answers. And then the experience is a mix between physical and digital experience in full, to the level that whatever you pick up from the store automatically gets implemented in your shopping cart. There is also one of a kind sort of a devices trade-in machine. So if you have your old device and you want to trade it for a new device, you put it into the machine, it scans for any faults, any screen cracks, and accordingly it gives you a value. If you accept the value, the money is transferred into our digital wallet, which is called EN Money, and here you go, you walk out with your money in the wallet. The beauty about the experience is that it is one of a kind sort of experience, and it speaks about the future from all aspects. It's not only about the customer flow, it's that we are capturing all the data that is there and all the data that you would think of. How much you stay in front of the screen, if you pick a product and you put it back. So this helps into understanding the customer pattern, and it's captured also based on the customer profile and what he has been shopping online or what he has been doing in general. So we try to monetize the maximum possible out of this data in order to give the best experience. I really would invite you all to go and visit one of these stores. This one is in Kifaf, and there is another one. It's available in, I think it's the next picture.
Yeah, can we see the next picture?
Yeah, this is in Dubai Mall. It's really one of a kind experience, and it's full of technology. So you feel the technology in everything that you do. But as mentioned, if it's made simple, it's beautiful. So this is what you witness in the store.
So building on that, just this is the future from what we can see.
It's reality.
It's not the future anymore. It is our reality today. We will ask what's the future beyond this even. But I want to ask a question. Does this change intent in buying? Like you said that you're actually getting so much data when the customers are entering, and it's different than when you go in and just, look around in a shop, no one talks to you, you walk out. Maybe not so much for EN, but in general.
Well, this is a very good question, because the thing is, this demonstrates we are a technology company and we cater for the full population. And we are lucky to be in a country like the UAE where everything is different. Everything is about the latest, about the greatest, about being the first. So this is the DNA of the country, especially that it hosts more than 20 million visitors per year. It has a diversity of nationalities, more than 200 nationalities. So for EN, putting technology at the forefront of all what we do with the customer as the main element in order to ensure that the experience is the best is very important for us. And this is not the only stores. We have the normal stores, but they are still smart stores. So this is the breaking edge. This is the maximum. This is the ultimate experience in the future. But we have our smart stores, which is a mix between the normal stores. It's manned. There is sales representative. We are social creatures. We need to speak to someone also. So this element we always take care of. So this amount of technology helps us to understand how to enhance even the smart stores and how to make sure that we cater for the future from all aspects and all angles.
Excellent. Okay, so very technology company driven all the way. So let's talk about social a little bit, Sayed. How are you using AI to dynamically adapt creative and product recommendations in real time across social commerce platforms? This is something that we're really interested to know, because food expires. So how do you use it to make sure it gets there quickly and in time, messaging-wise as well as actual product?
So on the operational side, of course, we've looked at smart technologies that can help us reduce wastage with fresh products. This is something we started looking at 5 years ago. But like you said, with the food business and a short shelf life and a lot of different variables, it's very complex. Once AI can understand what's happening in the world around us, we'll probably be there. But at this moment, we still have to tell the system that there's an event happening, or the school is closed on this specific day, or there's a lot of offices over here, so we need more number of serve over counter food. So that kind of input is required for the ordering system. In terms of personalization, both on our e-commerce platform as well as on social, social, as I've said to you before, is a topic that we invest a lot in, and we've got a very big content team for that. But I don't understand much of it because I'm a millennial. And TikTok for us is a highly, as I've been told by a social media manager, we are very viral on TikTok, and there seems to be a very big following. But as someone said earlier today, perception is everything. So I can see the value of social, and what we also do with social is a lot of our posts are video first.
Yep.
And the reason for that is, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words and a video is worth a lot more. And we like to tell the story of our growers, our suppliers, and what we do to give you the finest product that we are passionate about. And that comes across in social with about 10 million video views a year. And I've been told an engagement rate of 3%, which is pretty good for the market.
Okay, that's excellent. Okay, leading on to that, inventory management through AI.
Yeah.
We all know that it's helping. Can you tell us a little bit about how the fashion industry is using this?
So for inventory management in retail or e-com, we are able to, basis our sales or history or even trend forecasting, which AI also helps with, we are able to figure out what products should be available at what store and what should be on the website. So in that way, we make sure that our stock transfers are done in that manner. We make sure that that particular inventory is available in that location. We have enough week cover to satisfy our customers' needs so that we sell the correct merchandise basis wherever we are. Also, and again, AI is a learning tool. So as products sell, it will learn, it will get an understanding on what's performing, what colors are performing, what style is performing. So if I were to go to a Hugo Boss in Dubai Hills or a Hugo Boss in Dubai Mall, maybe completely different merchandise sells. Maybe only women's sells better in Dubai Mall and not in Dubai Hills. So I would make sure to have enough women's product there and men's product there, etc. Same goes for the website as well. So currently in the UAE, we are focusing more on men's because, of course, men sells more for Hugo Boss than women. So we make sure to have enough men's products to satisfy the customer's needs. Also, in turn, having the correct merchandise also helps, of course, in converting the order. Also, having AI, AR, it reduces the return rates, and for the business, it reduces the return costs.
Yeah.
So I save money on picking up the item, on restocking the product, on labor cost, etc. So in turn, inventory optimization helps with the customer satisfaction as well.
Okay, staying on the social subject, last month we were in Saudi doing this event, and we actually hosted the same panel, but from a very different point of view. And one of our members, A to Z Media, Eli, was telling us about social media buying, especially for fashion. Like we see it in China with like 1,000 phones, we've seen it. Do you think that trend will come to the Middle East?
You mean to say customers buying the products from...
Yeah.
Yes, it's not there yet, I believe, but it's something that is booming, and I feel that it will grow if you give like a little more time, because it needs some, like here, I feel e-commerce is again growing. It's a growing thing across the world, but I do see it coming, but I'm not sure by when it will start. It needs some time.
What do you think is the driving factor? What's going to push through?
No, I think it's going to come back because if we go back to 2 years back, if we go, Instagram shopping was there in the region.
Yeah.
We were doing that. It got banned due to regional restriction. Live shopping has not entered our region yet, but I don't think it's very far. It's almost there. 100% people are going to find out the tricks and make the region enter. And I also feel your Instagram shopping, your Facebook shopping is going to come back. A lot of brands are doing right now with using VPNs of US. So I don't think it's far, especially for fashion perspective, it's a very competitive market, and I think very soon should be there back in the region.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to the typical last question on a panel. What's the future? What does the future hold? Let's go to Dr. Tamer first.
Well, this
You're
is a good
already
question.
there, sort of, but we want to know, like, where is it
Very
going to go
broad
beyond that?
question.
I think this is a very good question because it is, with all what's happening very quickly, we can see every 6 months AI is evolving significantly in all aspects, whether it's content creation or creativity or efficiency or enhancing processes or enhancing content. It's going very well. But I think the element that still did not mature enough, and I would expect it in the future, is the blend between AR, VR, and AI. So we will see wonders when this comes into place because things would take a different perspective. I think Meta is working heavily on things related to VR and AR, and the same on Apple side. So once these devices becomes really widely available, the shopping experience, the customer experience, the gaming experience is going to change drastically. So this is how the future may look like.
Okay, Sayed, from a supermarket food perspective, what's the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak from my perspective. So we're a brick and mortar business, and we went online only during COVID. So we rushed to going online because of the context of the time. For us personally, we pride ourselves on the personal touch that we have and the customer experience and the experience for customers in store. And that's something we believe we do very well. Where I believe AI and AR can be beneficial for us and our strategy would be to augment what we have today in terms of the experience that we offer to customers. So there's a lot of things that we can solve in store and improve the experience with these technologies. Because people, for example, people are very conscious about dietary preferences today, and when they look at a certain food product, they don't know. So why not use AR where you can just scan the product and it tells you what it is. There is technologies available for that. That's something we've looked at. Or there's long lines at the scale counter. You have scales that can tell you it's an apple from Spain and then print out the price label for you. So this is where we can actually improve the experience while also giving them something that we already offer today in our stores. So I think that's where we would benefit from these technologies.
Fashion?
For fashion and e-com, the main goal is to enhance the customer experience and increase customer satisfaction. These are the two main goals. Whatever you can do for the customer to make their purchase quick and easy, and that is the main goal. So we always come up with ideas how we can keep the customer interested on the website, what they can do. Maybe they can play around with things, how we have the virtual fit assistant. They can see how the product looks on them, keep the checkout process smooth, so seamless. They buy the product quick. Of course, delivery as well is a whole other aspect that has to be there. The delivery has to be done on time. We cannot dissatisfy the customer there. Otherwise, again, that will lead to bad reviews, etc. So as long as we can keep it smooth, that's the best thing for the customer. And that should be what our future is as well.
Okay. Aditi?
Yeah, I think online shopping will become more immersive, more informative. People are informative, but it is going to become more informative, more intuitive behavior will kick in.
Yeah.
So in my perspective, it will be a scenario where we are almost there, but 100% it is going to be a person discovers a, say, product on Instagram, virtually within seconds try it, and then you have a special offer in your inbox powered by an AI, and then you check out. So again, it'll be a mix of your AR, social commerce, AI, everything full blend, omni-channel experience, or rather I would say omni-intent, where we see what, when person wants, and rightly with that timing we deliver it to them. So predictive CRM will also, another thing is what I think will kick in very fast and at a large pace.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank
we
you.
all, I think, can agree that basically AI is taking us to a more seamless, easier, less hassle, and more immersive experience. And I think that is where commerce is headed. And inshallah, we'll all enjoy it